Since coming from Best of Redditor updates. My mom died a couple days ago. My boyfriend is refusing to go to the funeral or let my daughter go with me because it's religious. Like the title says, I, 26 female, lost my mom a couple days ago from ovarian cancer. I'm devastated right now, and my boyfriend, 31 male, we've been together for a year and a half, isn't helping me at all. My mom and I weren't on good terms before her death because of my boyfriend. John and my mom never got along because he's a deep-set atheist, and my mom is very religious. Major issues popped up once I got pregnant and had my daughter. My mom pressed for me to have my baby baptized into the church, which I wanted to do, but John was dead set against it. He convinced me that baptizing her and indoctrinating her was a bad choice, and we should leave it to her to choose when she was old enough. I agreed. My mom didn't take this well at all, and after many angry and hurt arguments, she cut off contacts with me. Not having my mom with me during my pregnancy or my baby's birth took a big emotional toll on me, but John insisted it was for the best, and he didn't want my mom near my daughter at all, and that my mom was evil for hurting me. At the time, I was angry, so I agreed. I found out my mom was sick with ovarian cancer a month ago when she called me and wanted to talk. I was horrified, and all the bullshit just kind of fell away. I tried to make the best of my time with her. I brought her my daughter to meet her grandma and tried to build her good memories with her. I'm happy to say we reconciled, and my mom and I made peace with each other before she died. I don't want to trash my boyfriend, but John has been a pain in the fucking ass since I found out my mom was sick. He said she deserved it, but quickly backed down when he saw how angry that made me. He refused to go with me to visit or help care for my mom. He didn't even really want to listen to me talk about how happy I am to reconnect with my mom. All he did was remind me that my mom hurt me and I should have no contact with her, and she didn't deserve for me to speak to her. I told him that my mom isn't perfect, but my mom also raised me by herself and that she was my rock for many years, and he should respect that. He said nothing outside of telling me there was no value in talking to her. Now we're planning the funeral. I asked John to go with me, and he refused instantly. He said he hated my mom, and that she was a cunt to our family, and that he wasn't going to church ever, and it was rude and insensitive of me to ask. When I said I was taking my daughter, he had the nerve to actually tell me I was not under any circumstances taking her. I have been through an emotional roller coaster this past week. I lost my mom after we finally made up. My boyfriend has been stupidly unsupportive, and now he's refusing to let me take my child to her grandmother's funeral and refusing to come to at least support me. My daughter is the one thing that brings me comfort, and I want her with me. Is that so unreasonable? It seems like the more I push, the more he digs his heels in, and I just can't take it anymore. I don't know what to do. His attitude towards this entire thing is breaking my heart on top of my mom's death.
Jesus, that's heavy. Teresa's got all the heavy ones today.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Jeez.
I think it's pretty delusional, though.
It's pretty, yeah. No, that's really delusional that you can't go to a funeral, like,
Because it's religious.
because he's an atheist. I feel like he's a toxic atheist.
Yes, he's literally toxic.
Like, there was this one skit that I saw that just kind of put it into perspective for me. It was like, what was the guy from? He was a guy from Pacific Rim, not the main character. The funny character. He's also like, he plays the school teacher one.
I don't even know what that is.
I'll try and find the clip and I'll throw it at the end of this episode for you. But it basically is like, it's an argument of like why God exists. And it was about proving how God exists to atheists. And at the end of the skit, 5 minutes, whatever, he had the atheist agree that it's a possibility. Like, you can't prove it, that you can't prove he exists, and you can't prove he doesn't exist. Yeah. Right? So it goes both ways. Whatever you want to believe is what you want to believe, but just like you can't prove that he exists doesn't mean you also can't prove that he doesn't exist. So therefore it's like, oh, I listened to that and I was like, okay. It just gave me a much more open mind perspective. At one point I was kind of like more atheist leaning, and now I'm just like, whatever. But that's like toxic atheist driving down, because
I was gonna say it's like similar to like a religious person trying to push their belief.
Well,
onto you.
I guess that's kind of what happened though. She's stuck in the middle of being a neutral person going against both poles. The over religious pole of her mother and the over atheist pole of her boyfriend. And she's kind of stuck in the middle, like being like a normal person. Mm-hmm. Like he did have I did agree with this point where on the baptized into the church where he didn't want her to do it.
I feel like this should have been discussed before having a child. Like,
sure, but I just mean like I kind of agree where like he was thought maybe that when she's old enough to decide, that's something she can do. I kind of agree with that. Of not forcing the child into stuff. Like I don't like when kids get their ears pierced before they make the choice to do that for themselves. Like, so some of those things I could kind of agree with that. And then same thing, like if the parent is so like, do it or you're out, I could feel that, okay, I'm pushing back as well. Kind of want to cut contact, but he just went really toxic of not being able to like forgive, especially when she finds out she has cancer. Yeah. And stuff. So like, I'm not saying I disagree fully with his atheist takes. I kind of agree with some of them because the person has just put the choice in the child and they can decide when they get older what they want. But he just was staying toxic so much.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is he's not allowing his daughter to go to the funeral.
Yeah, it's a funeral. I didn't know a funeral was a religious thing. Like I understand like the person was like Christian and religions are going to have different funerals for that do them, but a funeral is a funeral.
Right?
So like what do atheists do for their funeral? Do we just what do we do for them? Do we cremate them and then put them down the drain?
Question.
Do we
I don't know.
Wash them down the sink? Like what happens?
Jesus.
No, but like actually, like I don't know what happens to an atheist. They don't believe in anything, so
yeah, I don't know.
What do they believe happens with your body when it dies?
Not a clue.
So he's very toxic.
Yes, 100%. Some relevant comments. How does he plan on stopping you from taking her to the service? OP replies, he can't. I've decided that I'm taking her unless he tries to physically stop me. And even then, good luck.
He can't physically stop her, but like, what if he does something really toxic, like wakes up early in the morning and like takes her away for the day?
There's an update.
No way.
Before I get into the update, I want to read one of the comments from OP that talks about her mom. My mom actually cut me off when I said that we decided not to baptize my daughter. I tried for weeks and months to reach out to her and even texted and called when the baby arrived and got no response. I really wish I had tried harder, like gone to the house and knocked, or even just tried to run into her and talk to her. I was really hurt by what my mom did, and I let John talk me into thinking that my mom really was this mean, vindictive person for cutting me out of her life. Trust me when I say I regret it with all my heart now.
Okay, like, not to play like devil's advocate, but like imagine we had a child and one of our moms refused to come because we didn't want to baptize or circumcise or some kind of religious belief or something for the child. I feel like I kind of would be on John's side.
I was thinking that too.
I would be like, you didn't show up. You cut me out of your life.
Yeah.
I would agree. I don't think he was manipulating her at that point. I would have said the same thing. Like, if she wants to cut you, then, her loss type of thing.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to manipulate her at this point.
At that point,
I think this is, like, valid.
It sounds like that was the choices that her mom made.
Yeah.
Because they refused to baptize because of her religious beliefs.
Now, is it different? Because OP said that she wanted to have the kid baptized.
But that's not fair to. I don't think that's fair to John because John believes in not baptizing the child,
and she believes she does. So,
but she chose to listen to respect his beliefs. It obviously wasn't a big deal for her. She's not religious either, so that was the decision that she decided to make. I don't think she can blame John for that. Like if that was something that was so important for her, I feel like she would be saying that. She's like, John convinced me, but it's like. You saw his reasoning at the time for what his beliefs were, and you became to believe the same thing, that she should choose when she's older. So I don't know if that's fair to like
Okay.
say that John manipulated her in that. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to read the update.
Okay.
Thanks everyone that sent me condolences about my mom. It's been really hard these past several days, but I've been hanging in there okay. I tried being reasonable to John about how he handled things. I even told him, like one poster here suggested, that he didn't have to go to the service, but could wait in the lobby with my daughter while the service was going on. Then she could spend time with my family after the service, but he again shot it down. He would be able to hear the service, and that was a violation of his beliefs, and asking to compromise on those beliefs was unconscionable and unfair to our daughter.
I'm confused. I thought atheists don't have any beliefs. Maybe I don't understand atheism, but maybe they do have their beliefs of their own. But I thought they were just
They believe
like,
that they don't believe.
right. So then
Their
how
belief
is
that they don't
going and
believe.
hearing anything against his belief? Now he's just digging his heels in or something.
Yeah. I told him I had it. This is the icing on the very large cake. I told John that as of this week, I wanted our bank accounts separated. He made us join bank accounts to make sure we split everything equally to be fair, despite me making more, and that I'd be staying with my brother after the funeral while we figured out what to do, whether that was a total breakup or counseling. It was up to him. He said counseling was for the weak-minded, and that we were staying together despite my empty threats, and there was no way in fuck he was letting me take his money. He became very loud and in my face during this conversation, so I just let him throw his tantrum until he took my silence as agreement. I took my daughter with me to the viewing with no problems. John and I barely spoke that day, which was fine by me. But it hit the fan the next day. When I got up in the morning to get myself ready and get my daughter ready, I discovered that he had the motherfucking gall to park his car directly behind me, blocking me into the driveway. I had no way to get to the funeral in my own car. John always drives to work, but for some reason I can only imagine where to get back at me, decided to take the metro and took the baby carriage and bottles and my pump with him. My brother and I have our differences, granted. In fact, we haven't talked much since my mom and I were estranged. We started talking again after she was sick, but he'll forever be a saint to me for what he did. I called him crying, and he and my sister-in-law arrived within 20 minutes. Sister-in-law calmed me down and helped me get my daughter ready, and then brought along spare bottles, a carrier, and a breast pump. Thanks to them, I was able to go to my mom's funeral in comfort, and my daughter was an angel during the service. They calmed me down and everything went perfectly, and even though I was a mess most of the day, having my daughter with me and my sister-in-law and even my brother with me to lean on gave me peace on the inside. I've made up my mind not to tolerate John's insane and controlling behavior anymore. He had a litany of excuses for doing what he did. He even tried to claim his car had problems. I don't want to hear any of them. I never wanted to be a single mom. I always wanted to raise my baby within a family. But I've decided that going alone is so much better than doing it with this man, who thought nothing of trying to kick me while I was down. My brothers arranged for me to talk to a friend of his that specializes in family law this week, and we're taking it from there. I feel so guilty for what happened with my mom. I miss her so much. I hope from here on out I can make her proud of me, despite my mistakes.
Oh my God, that's almost as bad. At least he didn't take the daughter and go. Parked his car directly behind me and left for work.
And took everything, the pump, the baby bottles.
Depending on how tight this situation is, I would lose both bumpers off of the car before I messed a funeral. I would put my car into reverse, push his car into the middle of the street. I will damage my bumper. I will damage his car just so that I could go. But then he doubles down the fact that he took the bottles, took the pump. I'm losing my stuff. I'm losing it now. And me personally, I would just whatever, go to the store and buy it. But not everybody's in the situation where you just replace all that stuff instantly.
Also, time constraints
and time constraints. You get into the funeral and stuff. Thank God for the brother. At first, okay, I feel like there's a bit of a point where his beliefs rubbed off on her, and that's just natural. That's what happens in relationships. Even people on the religious side, atheist side, what happens? That happens for both sides. Mm-hmm. I think she was in the rights to do what she did and continue on with her life when her mom decided to cut her off because of her decision not to baptize. Because I feel like that decision is with both of the parents. If he convinced her, whatnot, that's whatever. But the mom made the decision to